You're listening to The Dating Den with dating and relationship badass and best-selling author Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important dating, sex, and relationship issues you want to know about. So if you're ready for true talk that's authentic and unfiltered, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
The Dating Den with Chris Gillis. How to get a guy to open up to you and what to do if he won't. Ladies, before we get started, I have a complimentary gift I'm so excited to share with you. If you have ever second-guessed yourself with men, and I know you have, and you wish someone, or you wish I would just tell you what to say to get a guy to ask you out, or to take the relationship from casual to committed, or you want to, get your needs met, get what you want, but you don't want to sound pushy or push him away. Go right now to datingdenvip.com and you can download my top 5 dating scripts men are powerless to resist. The truth is, knowing what to say and how to say it can be the only thing standing between you and a super great guy. So go to datingdenvip.com right now and grab your complimentary copy while it's still available. That's datingdenvip.com. Ladies, welcome into the Dating Den. Oh my gosh, so much to discuss here with our favorite manalist, Chris Gillis. So many topics. I mean, how to get a guy to actually pursue you, how to know when, no matter what you do or say, a guy won't pursue you so you can peace out, who should say I love you first, how to get a guy who isn't emotionally expressive to do so. I mean, we have so many topics to discuss.
Wow. I like that little topper, a little teasers of what we're going to dive into.
I know. Well, you make it so easy. All right. Well, let's just talk about that. I want to talk about exes just to start off, a topic I did not tease. I think that, so we're talking in the context of watching Bachelor in Paradise the other night, and there's a couple that dated for a year and a half or 2 years. They're engaged. They break up because of logistics. Like he wants to live in the Midwest. She wants to live in California. We don't really know the details, except what we know is that she sort of refuses to even try to move or live somewhere else. They break up. He meets someone else. Here it is, a year and a half later. She is super sad. And it's a case of you always want what you can't have. And I think that when you are in a relationship for a really long time and you still have feelings for your ex, I see a lot of ladies coming up with reasons why they should get back in touch. Or they think, but he's my best friend, or he's the person that should console me about anything. Like somebody dies, you lose your job, you broke up with somebody, you thought you found your next person. I mean, what do you do? Like when, and should you do that? Should your ex be the person who consoles you? Should he be your best friend?
That's awesome. I was actually about to ask you, and now I'll get my little pieces. Yes, I'm always, everybody always is that excuse. Oh, well, she's a good person, or he's a good person, and and we're friends. We're staying friends, and I'm always like, should you stay friends? Really? And for how long and in what context? And I am of the camp that no, that when you break up, especially if you've been really, really close with somebody, like, sleeping with them naked sort of thing, close with them, then you give them space to time and heal the grow. And it's actually, I think it's really actually selfish of people when they say, to go, oh, well, they need me or whatever. It's like, no, you know what? You're not allowing them the room and the space to heal and to grow by constantly throwing that Band-Aid over that wound when you were, definitely involved in that wound, and they constantly, to be there and to, kind of bottle feed them and assume that they can't get through it. I know the times that I'll speak for myself that when I've done, and I've been guilty of it 100%. It's like, no, I knew I was doing it selfishly because it made me feel better. It made me feel less shitty about, seeing them hurt or cry or, whatever it is, for it. So it's really more for me and less for them, but it makes me feel like a hero and all these other bullshit stories that I think we tell ourselves.
When I was watching the show last night, I felt like Joe, who was the ex, the object of her affection, I felt like he was not comfortable. I felt like he was like, oh God, I have to do this because I'm not a jerk. And I think that's the other thing is that there's some guys who are like you in your camp when you were like, oh God, I want you. I like it when you need me. And then there's some guys who are just like awkward, right? And I think my experience of watching last night was, I think in some ways Kendall realized that like it wasn't working. Like he was holding her and stuff, and she was like really hugging him, like, and he was just like wooden hugging her, like, it's okay, little girl. Like, I don't really want to touch you too close or hold you too tight. And I think that we think that that's going to make us feel better to go to our ex for consoling. But deeper down underneath, I think that what happens is that some women, ladies, if this is you, just own it, that they think that if they fall to the victim position, that they can then manipulate the ex into wanting to be back with them, sleeping with them, right? It's like, oh, I'm hurting. And I think that I've seen so many women manufacture conditions and circumstances of creating opportunities to try and go rekindle things. And I'm just here to say, don't do it. I think what you said is brilliant. Like, he's not your best friend. He shouldn't be your best friend. He's with somebody else. You wouldn't want your new boyfriend to go like console his ex-wife. You wouldn't. So don't do it. Like, be a grown-ass woman and go find actual real friends who can console you, because your ex shouldn't be your best friend. I mean, you can be friends, like Facebook friends, like Facebook acquaintances, like, oh, he's dating someone else now. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But you're not really friends in the true sense of like, we're there for each other. That reciprocal, where we have each other's back. I think that is a rare situation. And I would say the only way that works is if you literally have zero feelings for each other.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, that's it. And I was going to ask you, I think that's why it's all bullshit. I was going to ask you, well, do you think that people, after they break up, do you believe in staying friends? And then with that said, I'm thinking, so many people, they'll say, oh, well, I don't. And I said, well, hold on. Do you still have feelings for her? No. But I still care about her. I'm like, hold on. I think that's a feeling.
For sure.
I think that's a feeling, bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I've been divorced from my husband for like 18 years now, longer than we were married. But I've known him since I was like 19 years old, right? So like, if he ever needed anything, I would like totally have his back, right? Like, and I know he would have mine. Like, can I borrow your car? Like, can I store some boxes at your place? Right? Like those kinds of things. Yeah. But if I was struggling with anything, I would never, he is not that person for me. And so, especially ladies, if you're in a relationship and it's like wobbly, don't go back to don't talk to your ex about it. Just don't. Just don't.
So you're saying like, it's okay to like you be there for them, especially like something that like your case where, you got children with this person, you're with them for over a decade, but so you can do things, but you can, like you said, you borrow your car, whatever, bail them out of jail or some shit like that, but not necessarily, but you're not there to give him a long hold, hug him and hold him when he's down, like not emotionally for him. You're not at that sort of
no, absolutely not. Yeah. And so I think, and the reason I brought that up is because there's context, because there's a lot of ladies who are listening, right? Like if you have kids together, if you dated, you were with someone since you were 14 years old and, you'll always probably have a connection in some way, a friendship, but that's not a real friendship. They're not your bestie. And definitely don't go to them when you need consolation, and don't
Yeah.
put yourself in a victim position to try and manipulate them to get back with you.
Totally. That reminds, I mean, I have friends and they're in the opposite camp where they're the men who are now divorced and they have kids and their ex-wives, they'll because the guys still, they hate, there's something, ladies, you guys have this, don't use it. It's our kryptonite. When you start crying, we're like, oh shit, we need to stop that.
Yes.
We'll get in a plane and do whatever it takes. We'll leave our current wife to go back to, because, hey, I think a girlfriend of mine from 18 years ago is crying, and to try to keep them to clog up the tears. And it is, it's a poor thing. Yeah, we fall for it every time, like a dog chasing a stick. Get thrown over the Grand Canyon. We're going to chase it. So don't use that superpower against us. And it is manipulative and it does work.
Well, it does work. It does work. But like in the case of Joe and Kendall last night, she got what she wanted, the hug, right? And all of that. But in the end, he's over her. He feels uncomfortable. It's a wooden hug. And if I were to like make a story up about what's going on in her mind and why she ends up leaving the show, is like, she's like, he's hugging me, but it's not the same, right? Like this isn't a connection. Like it makes me feel shittier about myself. Yeah. And it reminds me that this isn't what we had. And so even if the guy falls for the kryptonite and he's like, oh, pat on the back, it's going to make you feel shittier. Either way, either it's going to work and you sleep together and then he's like, oh shit, what did I do? Or you get the wooden hug like, oh God, this is so awkward. Please leave. Yeah. And you feel shitty. Don't do it.
No, don't do it. And you know what? And props to Grocery Store Joe for having those boundaries, because not a lot of men do that. And my mind's erasing of all the guys, my friends that I've had, and they drive their new girlfriends fucking up the wall because their baby's mamas are crying and in need, and they want to be Captain Save-A-Ho, so they're flying over there, and the girlfriend's like, hey dipshit, you're in a relationship with me.
Yes.
You're here to care for me, not this. This woman is your past. She's using you. And it's funny how, good Lord, how so many of us, and I fall prey to as well, or we don't have the boundaries. So be good to us, gals.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay, let's talk about this. I wanted to this is such a huge one, and I think I told you last night I interviewed a woman named Logan Ury who works for Hinge, and she wrote a book, and one of the titles of her book, or the chapters, is Fuck the Spark. Because she believes, and according to the research, and she's a behavioral scientist and all of these fun things, that when we are choosing men just based on the spark alone or chemistry, that's usually not what we do when we're trying to change our patterns. And in the show last night, Tia, who has a history of going for unavailable men, right? Like, on the show before, she was attracted to this guy named Colton, who it turns out, like he was gay, like he was in the closet, but he was unavailable and he knew he was unavailable. And now she's on the show and there's two guys she's interested in. And one is a nice guy and he's treating her well and he's making an effort. And she doesn't feel, like she said, her vagina doesn't get excited about it.
She consulted a lot.
She consulted it a lot. She was like, hey, help me out here. Help a girl out. And then there's this guy whose name's Blake. She calls him Daddy Tatty or Tatty Daddy. I don't know, whatever, because he has a lot of tattoos. And they just have sick chemistry and whatever. But he's totally a douche. And the nice guy, by the way, the nice guy is like a good-looking guy. Yeah. He's physically attractive. Like, so it's not like, we're talking like a 375-pound, unemployed, nerdy dude that someone would typically not maybe be attracted to versus, like Mr. Fitness. They're two attractive guys. And she just wants her vagina to be happy. And I just think that I agree. Like, the spark is not the thing to base everything on. So what are your thoughts on that? Like,
I couldn't agree more. And and gals who haven't watched the show, I think Marni's underselling it. I got a damn near crush on this guy who's not making her vagina tingle. And
James, I love James.
What the heck? We're like, what the heck? But he doesn't make any of the girls' vaginas tingle, which is interesting in itself. He doesn't he doesn't seem to really create sparks with anybody. So what does that guy, before I answer your question, what does that author say? What is it? Define sparks a little bit, and what do men do to create sparks, and when are they good sparks? Are there different levels and good and bad sparks? Curious what you think.
Well, I mean, one of the things she was talking about is that that we base that spark on this thing of like chemistry, and it is a short-term sort of like oxytocin, like it feels good. And often when you're emotionally unavailable yourself, those kinds of guys give the illusion of a connection, right? But it's not really emotional intimacy. It's just physical intimacy. And so that doesn't last, right?
Yeah.
Like over the long haul of a relationship, it can't be based on that because, and you've had these experiences and I've had these experiences, you can be with the hottest guy or the most hot woman, right? And after X amount of months, years, whatever it is, they're still going to be annoying, right? Oh, yeah. And then it doesn't matter how hot they are. Like you are not attracted to them because of X, Y, and Z. And so when you're basing the whole thing on like attractive, like I want to rip your clothes off, your measurement tool is not a long game approach. Because it doesn't matter. It can be Matthew McConaughey. It can be fucking Giselle, whoever it is. Like, once you see them for who they are, they're going to not be perfect. And that's not going to be the center of your relationship anymore, right? So it's just not a long game approach. And I'm wondering, is maybe Tia's not emotionally available?
Right. All right. Well, a couple things. I know I ask a lot of questions.
I love that you ask questions.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. So is